going to show you how to make delicious baked custards. Now this recipe I've stolen from my mum because it is so good and it's reliable. So I've got 75 grams of walnuts here. We want to toast them just lightly, and I'm going to be adding 70 grams of caster sugar. Now what we're making here is almost like a nut brittle that we're going to break up later and add into the custard. So you've got that really lovely texture of the creamy custard and then the crunch of the nuts. It's really, really delicious. In actual fact, I can start adding our sugar now and just allow that to melt together nicely until it becomes golden brown. So keep an eye on it because you don't want that toffee to overburn. We just want a pale golden colour. Now, while they're cooking, let's get onto the custard side of things. So you need 300 millilitres of cream. I've got some cooking cream here, and that's exactly 300 mils. So that goes into a pot here, bubbling away, along with 100 millilitres of milk. And just let that heat up and come to a boil. Now it's getting a little bit busy in the kitchen, so onto the chocolate now. I've got 55 grams here, not too much chocolate, so we just want to melt that over a pot of simmering water. Now, use a large bowl for this because we'll be pouring everything into it at the end. So just allow that to melt while everything else is cooking here. And now we can get onto the egg section. So I need 5 eggs for this recipe. We want to break them and separate them. I just need the yolks for this recipe because it is a custard. So separate them and then pop them into a mixer. And as I'm cracking these eggs, I can actually smell that amazing toffee. I am looking at it at the corner of my eye because you don't want to burn that. As soon as it starts to change colour, make sure that you're prepared. And I've got a tray here, and that's where we're just going to pour it on in a moment. So the last egg, that can go in. There we go. And another 70 grams of sugar. So just some caster sugar here, that can go in. And we just want to whisk that until it's pale and frothy. Now let's have a look at those nuts. They're looking fantastic, golden brown. We'll take that off the heat now. And just using a spoon, very carefully because it's piping hot, we just want to pop them on our tray, scoop off all that toffee. And we just want to let that set. So we'll get that out of the way. And we can start whisking our eggs and sugar. Now you can see here our eggs are pale and frothy and they've almost doubled in size, so that's ready to go. And look at this gorgeous dark chocolate here. Now we've got our milk and our cream, and we'll just slowly whisk in that cream and milk mixture. Now, always a good tip when you're in the kitchen by yourself, you've only got 2 hands, I always like to use just a little tea towel just here, just to stabilise that bowl so it's easy to whisk by yourself. And now we can get our egg and sugar mixture, add that to our chocolate cream. There we go. And incorporate that really, really well. You can see it's a nice thick mixture, and because I'd like a little bit more chocolate in here, we need around 15 grams of cocoa powder. So that's about 1 heaped tablespoon. In it goes. And whisk that in so there's no lumps and it melts in nicely. There's just a little bit of heat there, so that'll melt in perfectly. And last but not least, these walnuts have firmed up nicely. We just take them off our tray. These are good enough to eat as is, but like we said, there's a bit of texture in this dish, so we just get a knife and just roughly run that through. Now I'm only going to add half of these walnuts. The other half I'm going to save for later when we garnish just before serving. So into our chocolate custard. One more little whisk. And I've just got a jug here. I find this is the easiest way to fill them. Pour all that mixture in, don't leave any behind. And we'll just pour them in. Now these aren't going to rise too much because they are custards, so we can fill them up. Make sure we use a spatula here to scoop all of that out. Beautiful. Now, I've preheated my oven to 100 degrees, so it's quite a mild oven, and it's really important because we don't want these to curdle. We just want them to cook very gently. Also, to ensure that they don't scramble, I just like to get some water here and fill up the tray halfway up the ramekins. So just a bain-marie here. That again will ensure that they cook nice and evenly and slowly. So now we're going to bake these in the oven for 1 hour and 15 minutes. After they're cooked, we're just going to chill them completely in the fridge for about 4 hours. Well, these custards have set in the fridge, they're nicely chilled, and don't forget those walnuts that we reserved before. They go just on the top there, just like that. That looks so wonderful. Personally, I like the way my mum does it with these little walnuts on top. All right, moment of truth, let's have a taste. You know what, they're so light, silky, and the crunchy walnuts really top that off. That is just so perfect.